And we are live.
Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and Skatach Wraith Knights, to that 6+++ show. I am your host, Tom, and I am back once again to talk all things 40k. And we are playing games tonight, so get your games hat on. It's going to be a special show cooked up for you by our very own Jack Chapman. So I'm going to start with him. Jack, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic, Tom.
You look very cool. I like the hang down microphone. That's extremely professional.
Yeah, I want to keep it in shot, like just so people could know it's there and that I'm
tech
trying,
flex.
yeah.
I'm better than you, and I want you.
Yeah. Look, I got my pop filter.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think he can sing us a few vocal lines at some stage and sort of launch a music career.
Get deep with it. Oh, you got to breathe away from the microphone.
Don't use Ed's trick. Ed loves the deep microphone voice trick.
Maximum static, way too dank.
And so I know you've been on a little 40k adventure because I've been part of it. But tell people about your little 40k journey that you're on, Jack.
So, a bit more than a week ago, I was having trouble sleeping, and I was like, oh, that's just the worst. And I woke up at 4 a.m. I was like, oh, I need to learn how to play Gene Stealer cults. And so I just sat there at 4 a.m. and started reading the index, and I decided I'm just going to start playing Gene Stealer cults. So I've been getting some games in with them.
Yeah,
so hold on. You were unwell.
Yeah.
You were unable to sleep. You woke up at 4 a.m. and you had a craving for the Gene Stealer cult. I'm not saying that you might be infected, but I am never sharing a hotel room with you again.
Look, the extra arm's really useful. I don't care what anyone says. I just think it's great.
Pat your own back. Is that what it's for, Tom?
Yeah, exactly. That's all I've ever. Well, one of the things I've used.
I was going to say jacking off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's us not getting any monetization on this video, though.
Oh,
Thanks.
no, millions.
I don't think the
That's
sound can catch that.
Yeah, I said my own name. What's it about it?
Yeah, exactly. And so, how far along in the process are you with Gene Stealer cults?
I've played 2.5 games.
Okay.
And it's gone pretty good actually. It's really fun. There's a lot of stuff in there that's that they give a really unique gameplay challenge for both players, I think.
Yeah, they play. I remember when I first played it, it's like this is sort of like a coding error. The whole army feels like something to just glitching, and it's very funny to play into. But you seemed like you were getting the hang of it as well. I was very, very impressed. And also in our game, I mean, your dice hated you for the first but you were just having so much fun because stuff kept coming back and you were just giggling away. And it felt like
there's just so much. Yeah, there's just so much you can do. There's just so much ways to solve every problem because you've got all these different tools and stuff. So
it's a very different set of tools to solve problems to Tau. And we were joking about when we played, weren't we? It was like you've just found the masters of getting angles. That's what you're done. You're done trying to get angles. You've got a deep strike in and blast things away. So now I'm really excited to see where you take them. Is on a hobby standpoint, what's the plan with them?
I don't know. I kind of want to get some now at this point. So I might just go get a start collecting box.
Just nibble, yeah,
and just see how that goes because I've got I do have a paint scheme in my head for what I want to do.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, this is gonna happen, isn't it? So
that feeling of falling a little bit in love with the idea of an army is one of my favorite feelings. I absolutely love it, and it's just the best. And I just ride it while you're enjoying it. Just go with it. I think it's great. Yeah. It's really, really fun.
And all those guardsman models that I bought for guard army that I was definitely going to do still useful. So
repurposed. Hell yeah, very nice. Okay, well, I'm not just joined by Jack. I'm also joined tonight by Ed. Ed, what's new with you, my man?
Well, I'm a sick cunt, and by that I mean I'm very unwell.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, I think they will get us this time.
No, you're allowed to say one after the first 5 minutes or so.
Oh, okay, sweet.
Yeah, and we're 4 minutes in.
Well, we make money from ads anyway. It's fine. No, we had some good feedback on the show last week. A very polite gentleman said that I should be less up my own arse, but he did it in such a nice way that I'm not gonna, rip the shit out of him because he had his opinion, and it's not an unreasonable opinion, and he presented it in a really nice way. But I think it was the greatest compliment I have ever received. If anyone has that to hand, or if we, just at any point, someone bring that up and read it out because it was beautiful.
Yeah.
No,
it's worth saying to listeners of the show now. Ed does adopt a little bit of a character in this show.
What?
And it is not. Don't take everything Ed says on the internet at face value. right? He plays up. He's found his role. When we were joking, as soon as he first came on the show, we were like, "Oh, we've got a villain," and he does play up to it. So don't panic. Ed in private is lovely and very relaxed and very grounded. So I don't think he's got a case to answer on this. But it was cute to see some listeners concerned about Ed's general well-being as well.
Rumors have it that in secret, Lewis and I are quite nice to each other. But I'll never
nice.
tell.
No.
Very nice, exactly. And is there anything new in your 40k life, Ed?
I've played a lot of 40k and I've played a lot of Old World.
Sweet.
Which is just a great. Oh no, I've only played one game. I've tried to play a lot of Old World.
Yeah.
And I've managed to play one game against Jack, which was loads.
Oh yeah.
Just having a good time. Played I think three games over a day and a half of 40k.
Mm-hmm.
Some custodies. They feel good.
Yeah, nice.
Just doing some limit testing, really.
Yeah. Great.
Wardens are great, and then you've used the 4 Feel No Pain. You go, oh no, they just die.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Timing that is fun. But
Absolutely. Great. Awesome.
Good.
Okay, very nice. Well, very good to have you here. There's a question in the chat, actually. Let's talk wargaming. That's Dom asked, does Ed wear a waistcoat at events? I believe he has done. I think I've played him when he was wearing a waistcoat at an event.
It's been a while.
And he looks very dapper in it.
I should probably dig that out.
It was hard to
waistcoats.
see.
Is that where we go next? That might be better.
No.
Clothing line.
No, general
I like
lack of
it.
support for that. Fair enough.
No,
There we go.
I'm not a snooker player.
Okay, I'm also joined
It's a great
tonight by
look, though, isn't it?
John, not a snooker player, Scrivens. John, how are you doing?
Yeah, not bad. As you may notice, like the keen observer, my lighting has changed because I am now an Angel of Death main.
Yeah,
So
okay.
that's my big hobby thing this week.
Do you want to talk people through the way you've justified this?
So, in 2nd edition, the first Space Marine Codex you could buy was called Codex Angels of Death.
Okay.
Featured my 2 favourite chapters, one of which was my first Space Marine army in 3rd edition, which was Blood Angels, and my current Space Marine passion, Dark Angels.
Okay.
So because the way that the edition now works, that essentially Space Marines can be whatever you want them to be. They are the dittos of superhumans.
Yeah, they've lost their...
That I literally can just paint them all black and red and just be like, there you go. I'm whichever you want me to be, baby. And in a Teams format, currently I quite like the idea of shoving power fists down people's throats.
That's fair.
As Death Company.
I get that.
And I found a use for Reavers. Pretty looking Reaver models now that actually have a place. But it's probably going to be short-lived.
No,
not as Reavers. I've played against Reavers, and my god.
Now that they've been trash. It's amazing. Given the way that it normally
It's a skill.
works, you'd think that some
Games
stage...
Workshop writes rules to sell models. Didn't you hear that?
Yeah. Maybe they
best
already were selling enough Reavers making Death Company and they didn't notice and they think the rules are good.
They're 85 points for 5 Reavers. Janelle's is 85 points. Intercessors that get sticky objectives. Do you know what Reavers do? Nothing.
You know what you could get for 65 points? Scouts.
Scouts.
I'd rather shit in my hands and clap than take Reavers.
I like the Space Wolf ones.
Yeah, I like
the Hounds of Morkai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have some
They've
cute,
got
like,
a different
anti-psych
name.
attack going
Yeah.
on, don't they?
And would you take them to an event?
No, but I like
do they go on a Stormlance list?
Someone did try them a couple of times in some background training for Teams bit related stuff, and in the end, they did not make the cut. Okay, John, awesome. Have you played any games? Any hobbying?
I played one game against Vanguard Raptors, trying out the
Martin.
Inner Circle. Yeah, I played against him with the Inner Circle task force, and the detachment plays a game. You play the game going, cool, it'd be nice to have some stratagems I really want to use. But yeah.
Nice.
It was fun. But yeah, I'll try them again tomorrow, but into Votan. But I'm going to probably not take a Dark Angels detachment.
Okay, that's fair. Gonna run them as something else.
Yeah.
Good detachments.
Yeah.
Hope
Gladius.
nice to see Martin's Votan up. Okay, wonderful. Right, so here's how this is going to work, guys. For those of you just joining us, we have a game. It's 40k Room 101, which I'm going to let Jack explain in just a moment. But first, we're going to shout some people out in the chat, and then we're going to do a bit of self-promotion because we're very good at self-promotion, possibly the best. So who do we have in the chat? Sean Capewell's here. Sindri is here. Home from work sick, they say. I've never felt closer to a 6++ stream, body and mind. Aww. I hope you're doing okay and are recovering as well as you're able. Let's Talk Wargaming is here. Existence UK is here. Stuel is here. Jack is here. 6++ Gaming is here, which is John, I think. reminding you to like the stream. Yes, please do. Hit the old like and subscribe. That helps us out a lot. Jack is excited to give his GSC more of a try. Davey informs me that Jack Bad touched him with the GSC. There you go. Very dangerous. And Pickleaxe is also in. Lovely to have you all here. Oh, I'm informed we're a little bit quieter.
This is the first time that sentence has ever been said.
Yeah, I was going to say, we are not... That's not typically a problem.
You're better now, Tom.
Is that okay? All right, sorry. Gail Morris says, Garda a C-tier army, stoking the flames.
C4.
Stoking the flames.
But how much indirect?
Yes.
I will literally sit here. I'll sit here and fight you about it. I will debate you about it right now.
No, it's
if I
going
need
to happen. It's going to happen. But it's funny seeing Gail Morris in the chat because that's how you first came into our lives, Jack. So it's quite nice. Quite nice seeing a little Gail Morris comment in there. Good times. All right. So in terms of self-promotion, we have the Plus Roundup. So John, what's new in the Plus?
So last week, since the show, we had a Cracking the Codex, where we had a really humble, lovely, some might say charismatic Archon in the form of you, because you'd won an event with the Sky Splinter Assault.
I did do that, yeah.
It was quite a punchy little video. We've had some good feedback on it.
I actually really enjoyed it. You were both very fun to chat about it.
Yeah, very much an enjoyable little video that kind of explains the ins and outs of what that detachment does.
There's a bit of a difference between it and the earlier stuff I'd done reviewing the detachment because I'd had the benefit of a bunch of games, so it's quite nice to just sit down and be like, this is what I actually did, rather than here's what I might do.
Hindsight's wonderful, right? Sometimes with stuff.
Definitely.
And then we've not had any other videos this week, really, have we? So it's more kind of the going forward. So we've got another Cracking the Codex. There is currently a poll up, and Nids is winning. So I think we're doing Endless Swarm this week, Edward.
Ooh.
We are indeed.
Which will be interesting.
That will be fun.
So I've got a lot of reading to do. And then later in the week / early next week, you're going to have Matchup Plus featuring Necrons, I believe.
Yep, that's going to be our first deep dive.
So we're terrifying.
We're going all in specifically on factions now, aren't we, Jack?
Yes, we got some super interesting stats for the old Necrons and their detachments. So I'm really excited to talk about that with you.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And I'm recording Rock and Stone with James Marsden and Jake on this week. After our last efforts were foiled by my ancestor core dying, I'm going to try again, see if it can survive this one. I'm hopeful this shiny new ancestor core can hack it, so we'll see how it goes.
Say as well.
Oh yeah,
I've got some old world content coming next week.
Yes, you do. Ed is very excited.
I'm really enjoying old world. I haven't won a single game online. I'm not counting the 2 games I played against Jack. We won, not this Jack Doddy. we played on like release weekend. Oh no, it was a while ago anyway, and we both won 1. And we sort of half knew what we were doing. We had someone who was standing by watching us and going, actually, that's not how the rule works, which normally pisses me off. But in this case, I was like, thank you so much. You're doing a service. I appreciate you. But since I've learned how to play the game, I haven't won a single game, and I'm having a fucking blast. I've got to relearn how to like move and face and not just get flanked. And, it's great. I'm loving it.
Yeah, I'm
so
really
what you're saying is winning's not the only thing about gaming?
No, I will win. I just haven't worked out what.
It is inevitable.
I've got a tournament at the end of April, so got to dial in. Yeah, we're going to the square-based GT, like number 3 or something, because they all keep selling out.
Yeah.
It was really fun to go back and play some fantasy again. It's been like almost 2 years now since I played any fantasy.
Wow.
And it was really good to go back to it. And it was very fun reliving the experience of explaining what a Terrorgeist does to someone. It's like, yes, it can hit you in combat. Yes.
Yeah.
It can shoot you in combat, yes.
And it can target characters?
Yes, yeah. No saves. Yeah, no saves, yeah.
No regen? And I just lose wounds? And you stack buffs?
Yeah,
so
you just died,
I'm -4 and I can't use my general's leadership. This is fine.
So this is what it feels like to be my wife. Literally, that sounded like gibberish you were just saying to me. I'm just like, but yeah, I want to pat you on the head and be like, cool, as long as you're having fun.
It's one of my favourite genres is listening to someone talk excitedly about a fantasy game that I don't understand, or any kind of game that I don't understand. Because it's sort of like I understand, because the words are all connecting up in ways I'm used to.
The English
none of them are
words.
saying what I think they're saying. Yeah.
Taking the leadership test at -4 isn't that foreign of a concept.
That one I
for 40k.
fully understand. Yeah, no, I completely agree.
No, it is foreign because in this case it's fucking backbreaking. Whereas in 40k you're like, oh, I guess that unit's battle shocked. Shame it was 65 points of scouts. Oh well.
Absolutely. All right. Okay, we are going to move forward into our game tonight, which is 40k Room 101. Jack, do you want to explain to people who may not understand what this is and how it's going to work?
Okay, so if you have not heard of Room 101, basically how it works is each of my wonderful friends here is going to come and bring a concept or...
Don't call me a fucking friend.
Let him talk, Ed.
Sorry.
So we're going to bring a concept or a unit or a rule or something that they want banished from 40k forever. That is to say, put in Room 101, so you know how to deal with it ever again. So they're going to bring that item forward, and then they're going to get 5 minutes to sort of debate the rest of us and convince us to let them put it in the room. Us four are then going to have a vote, so presumably everyone's going to get one vote. Yeah. And then we're also going to have a poll in the YouTube chat for a tiebreaker. So if we end up 2-2, we'll use the chat to decide what goes in Room 101.
Very nice.
That's
awesome.
basically the long and short of it.
We did message Frank Skinner about coming on and doing it, but he said, "Nah, you're a bunch of nerds. I want no part in it," which is a shame. But,
which is hurtful, honestly.
It was hurtful, and I had no idea he was so unpleasant. Actually,
no.
He cursed a lot.
Yeah, he did.
A lot of slurs.
You can't trust that public persona whatsoever. He's vicious. So yeah, don't ever go and see him live. Anyway, right, Jack, where do we want to start?
Just slandering public TV figures.
We picked the wrong comedian there.
We don't take enough shots at the wider community, right? We've always said this.
Right, okay. Let's start with Scrivo. What is your first candidate for Room 101?
Right. I have 3 on my list here, so I'm going to start with, which I think this one's probably the most controversial, which is to bin named characters.
Ooh. Whoa. Okay.
So my logic here is it's a game where you're supposed to build your own army. It's all themed around your own concept, all these lovely things, and then you just slap in these really powerful characters that someone else has defined. They're often quite game-breaking or a bit too good, and it becomes a haves and have-nots situation. So to me, I just like the idea of get rid of all of that, and then the compromise is you have a situation where your normal captain, you pay for your war gear, you pay for upgrades, and it's all pointed, and you make your own flipping characters like it used to be. Because
pay for your war
that's
gear,
creative.
It'll never work.
Yeah, and that sounds exciting. Not just for characters. So you pay for some cool upgrades, pay for some cool things, but they can balance it through that sort of mechanic. And then you don't have to have this situation where every single time you see an army, it's like, oh, it's a Death Guard army. Which characters have they got? Oh, which name characters have they got? It's not if, it's always which. And I feel like sometimes it's a bit meh.
It's so interesting. Yeah, I mean, so I agree with you for Crusade because I hate name.
Oh god, yeah,
Crusade.
Doesn't exist.
That winds me the fuck up. Don't do that. Absolutely, don't do that. Bring like a captain and have a cool name for him and have a cool.
Yeah.
Sword.
But what if you're doing like the Crusade of Pedro Cantor? Like that works, right?
That would be valid. And actually, John and I did do this once where we had Gazgul versus Pedro Cantor, which actually in hindsight wasn't very fair on John. I was still new at the game. I didn't really realise that mechanically Crimson Fist were literally just designed to blap orcs. So I did.
And this was Metal Gazgul before he got the glow up.
Yeah.
And it's the one time he went on the table and he just died like a sack of shit.
He did just die.
Brilliant.
Just die. But I had a great time. Thanks, John.
Yeah, you did. It's fine.
What do we think, guys? So name characters.
So what about the characters that like kind of are designed to change the way that you play the army, right? Because I know
in 8th edition.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, there's less so in 10th edition now. But you know, back in the day, way back in the day of say 5th edition, for example,
Oof.
when I'm just picking an edition that I know before 9th. So,
in 5th edition, I could have Colonel Strachan, and I could also run a penal legion, and it was great. And that's not ironic. I genuinely love both of those things.
Oh, it's awful.
Just because they made like different units, like troops, or they gave your army like special rules and stuff like that. Like, and that's not so much of a thing nowadays. I understand, but it's like stuff like Farsight. He gives a different like kind of play style to your units, right? With the close range firepower.
Gave.
Yes.
Yeah.
He gives +1 to wound to a unit now, Ed. What more do you want?
Does he actually?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
He's great with Fusion Crisis.
In like
If
that, a short
If you're
range?
within 9.
If you're within
Oh.
9. You have
Is that wholly within?
You specifically have
Yes.
the rapid ingress in, but then he's great.
Within 9 is like my favorite position to be with Tau.
Yeah,
Genuinely.
I'm glad you finished that
I
sentence.
I think if you played Farsight base Tau, you'd have a good time because he can also at least fight a bit.
He got worse. and it
No,
makes
he
me
can't.
He's way worse, but he
Yeah.
can fight. He killed a single Hearthguard when I played against him, which is really
So my kind of counter argument to that is that mechanic could easily be given to an unnamed Tau commander
via
that
like
is
an
playing
upgrade
the
that they have.
archetype. So then you have these archetypes, and you're like, if you want to play into this archetype, or like, say, a good example, an orc boss, you go, right, if I want to play in a speed war, I just have to mount him on a bike, and then suddenly
Yes,
it's a
that is
speed
the
war.
9th edition codex. Well done.
Yeah, but that's the point, right? It works. It kind of locks you into a kind of an archetype, and they kind of do that with the detachments. So why not do it with your leaders?
I'm just thinking about having to put Eldrad on the shelf and never use him again. And
well, you could just for fun pickup
I
games
can't.
occasionally.
He's just so great.
You could use
He's
the model.
cute.
Yeah,
Could use the model. But also, is there a risk here with this, John, that we lose the last anchors to like different types of factions and lore aspects?
Entirely. I
And
just
wouldn't
wanted to
you
kick
end
up
up
some
with-
shit.
I'm
That
playing.
is the most controversial.
I'm playing
Wow, I think.
definitely not Eldrad and definitely not Pedro Cantor, and they're basically the same and they do the same things. Just
They
like
just
we
don't have names.
I'm definitely not Raven Guard.
Well,
as
we
it is
basically
at the
have that
moment.
anyway.
Well, that's yeah. So it's interesting.
I don't know. Just it feels like sometimes people end up going, "I have to play a specific type of army."
Yeah.
When in reality, a big part of the hobby at one point was I've made my own legion, my own chapter, whatever you want to call it, and then your own characters, and then that's kind of gone.
Yeah, I
it
do
just
think
feels-
you're right that I think some armies now, that's certainly the way they were written in 10th, it's like there are units they have to have, characters they have to have.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about Thousand Suns without Magnus or
Abaddon.
Lord Solar got a shout out in the chat, like he's so fundamental in Guard. But there's not that many armies that have to have.
But that's the thing. Quite often it's haves and have-nots where it makes an army, but then in other armies you're like, why would I take Snickrot? Really, what's that model for?
He can jump
Big
up and down and
metal
score
fuck.
cards.
You hear that? Ed says you're metal as fuck.
And I have. That's not Stick Rock, but it is a commando just on my chest to remind me of the glory days.
Okay,
Slasher Boy specifically.
What about the Primarchs? Because you can't just have a generic Primarch, right? Same for the name Satans. They're kind of like a thing.
They feel like they're too often now. They used to be like, you're playing a massive big game, you have a Primarch because you've got half a Legion on the table. In reality, now we're playing these games that are such a small little microcosm, and you've got rebooted Gilliman. He's got away from his paperwork, and he's on the table with those 1,500 points worth of other stuff with him. It's like, great, cool. This doesn't feel like an army.
I don't think this would upset you if you were less of a filthy casual and you looked at models as bundles of numbers and forgot that they have names and abilities.
But also, if you're a filthy casual, I think quite a lot of filthy casuals like Primarchs and like having their big names.
If anything, they like them a bit much.
They literally gave Angron a mechanic to specifically cater to his fan base, who will cry when he dies, by bringing him back again. I think it's beautiful. I think they know exactly who they're writing for. Sindri says, "I'm on board. Give me an unnamed Angron with all the same rules, so I can take 2 or 3." I like that. That's good thinking. Already thinking ahead in how you break this system. Right. Okay. So how are we sorting this?
Okay. Right. So I'm gonna go around. I'm gonna go clockwise. We'll start with Tom. Are you voting in or out room 101?
I don't want to banish named characters. I like named characters. I'm sorry, John. I do like them around. I see it gets a bit samey, but nah, I'm not on that path.
Okay, so that's one no. Scrivo, have you been convinced by our arguments to go the other way?
Stan, just have your convictions.
No, I think for match play, I feel like it's something that would actually show a bit of better skill expression because you're there tweaking those extra like sub numbers that I feel like we're kind of missing at the moment.
You can't take 2 data sheets away from World Eaters. They've only got about 5. It's not okay. Oh no, it's
It'll
3
help
data
with
sheets.
their counting. It'll help with their counting.
Okay, Ed.
No, absolutely.
What are you
not.
saying?
Fuck that.
You don't want them going in?
No. Like the name characters need to stay because they unlock abilities. Crisis, fucking Farsight in 9th is the best example. They were so much fun.
No, they weren't.
I mean, I wouldn't mind them toning down, like Trajan being omnipresent in every Custodes list. I wouldn't be upset for him to get wound down, but I'll talk about that in my turn.
Thank you so much, by the way, to Keith Murphy for this super chat, showing some support. Keep up the great work. We really appreciate that. That's really, really kind of you. Thanks very much. As ever, yeah, if you want to bung a super chat in and shout something at us or ask a question, do feel free to do that. And yeah, Sindri's reminded me that Drazar exists. There's no way I'm losing Drazar. I mean, I already have lost Drazar for an edition, but he might come back at some stage. And I can't. I'm just so attached to some of my named characters.
The best bit is I've just built 12 named characters in the last week. So
is that why you're angry about them?
It's so funny.
they're all fine cast resin as well.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll have you know, Belial is very well produced in new plastic.
Excellent.
I've
Did
never
he get
seen
good
the
rules?
tabletop. No.
Yeah.
He will not.
Oh.
Same with Asmodee.
So, for me, I think I'm convinced actually.
Okay.
You know, because the thing is, I love Farsight, right? I read all the bloody. I read all the Farsight books, and controversial opinion, I like the Phil Kelly books. I do. I like Farsight. He's very cool. He is colossally shit. And let me, right? He really is. Like, so to have the dissonance of him be so cool in the lore and then be so crap on the table. Same for Shadowstone. She's kind of a bit crap as well.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes me feel sad. I would rather they weren't around to disappoint me, you know, than be there and disappoint me. You know, I guess so. I think I would be happy for them to go into Room 101.
I'm going to jump in here. I did not realize that Phil Kelly wrote Black Library books. He's just a name from my past where he wrote really bad Warhammer 40k army books, the codexes. His were some of the worst from what I remember back in the day. Yeah. And now he writes books. Are his books any good?
Public opinion is no. I like them
Secret
though.
Wasn't very good.
Nice.
The Primaris Space Marines book about Dark Angels, I didn't like. His narrative, because he's now lead lore writer for Age of Sigmar, it's actually quite good.
Oh, Isn't he the wolfiest wolf that ever wolfed, Phil Kelly? And they've given him fucking lore. Right, I'm not going to besmirch a man's name who's done nothing apart from have a career and enjoy himself. You know what? Lore is not competitive. If you enjoy it, you enjoy it. And I'm just going to step back.
He did invent the Tau.
Did he? Wow.
Apparently, yeah, he came up with the Tau. That's why he's been given these books to write about them.
I actually did like.
They were like his baby.
That was exciting.
I used to like Phil Kelly.
Then you heard he invented Tau. Which actually just put us at 2 and 2 for the votes.
Okay.
So we're going to have to tie break using the poll.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Move on to the next one while they do that in chat. Would that be the best way to?
They've all voted.
They've already. There's votes in there. There's votes in there.
Now.
Yeah, don't worry.
Should we give them a 10-second countdown to get the last votes in?
All right, you got a 10-second countdown to get your votes in.
Starting now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm counting it on the clock.
I'm not. Yeah. There's votes.
That's it. You're done. For those who aren't watching live, we counted down 10 seconds using the clock there. That's what you just heard. And now it's over. So how did the poll come out?
54. So so not going in room 101 was 53%.
Okay.
And 46% for in.
Okay, so
it's not gone in because that's the will of the people, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
53 is that's enough to make a decision based on. Let's go with that. Cool. Okay, wonderful.
We're keeping named characters,
and it's all your fault.
Yeah, doesn't actually add up to 100%. But hey, I mean, YouTube's just a small indie company. We can't expect these
exactly.
things.
This is it's our first time using the poll setup. It's got a few kinks to iron out. That's fine. Where are we going next, Jack?
Let's go for Ed.
Go on, Ed.
Oh God.
Into my room 101, I am going to put ignore modifiers. Fuck me, I hate this as a concept. And I don't mean that in the way that everyone's going to think I mean it, because obviously I've played big tanky models that stack defensive buffs. I like that. I think it's inherently awful for the game, and I am okay when it goes away. In 9th edition, my best events, I was winning because I was running Stranglehold to the last and then like fucking Warp Ritual. And I was going, no matter what you do, I'm going to get like a solid 42 on secondary out of 45. And then I'm just going to kill you because I'm running some busted shit. I wish they would write rules to the point where they didn't need to introduce damage modifier ignoring. Like, just fucking don't give -1 damage. Just like, maybe don't hit that button. Don't give fucking like half damage on a model that's T11 with a 4 invuln already. Like, just fucking dial it back, boys. It's completely unnecessary. Write good rules and then don't put a bodged fucking fix in to unfuck your game.
It is interesting because we had so much of that in 9th edition, didn't we? Where it was like, and here's the thing that gets us out of the hole we painted ourselves into. So let's try and see if this helps. No rerolls at all now. Sorry, or this thing ignores.
Did we get to ignores invulns? I can't remember if we got an ignores.
Yes, demon saves literally worked.
Yeah,
they were saves that weren't invulns that you couldn't do that.
God, I fucking hate demons.
We went on the full wheel. It'd be fascinating to actually write that design wheel that they took us on with each new thing fucking over the thing that came before.
It's got the energy of when you're like a 5-year-old and it's like, I'm going to shoot you. I'm going to shoot with my imaginary gun. Well, I've got a shield that blocks imaginary bullet. Well, I've got a gun that breaks through imaginary bullet blocking shields.
Like.
But I'm a robot.
Yeah, exactly.
It works for Nintendo, so
yeah.
My dad's bigger than your dad.
Ikalak says Grey Knights had the ignore demon saves relic or something. They actually had ignore invuln saves for demons, and for a while it didn't work, and then they updated it, and they did have it.
Back in, as far back as I remember, 3rd edition, there were like upgrades you could buy that were like, demons can't take invulnerable saves against this attack. And for Grey Knights, I think that's fine.
Well,
I mean, it sucks if you're playing, if you're playing a mate and they play demons and you play Grey Knights, you're like, I'm going to fucking just tool up to stomp you. But
Jack says, they errated Drago to then ignore demon saves. So you've gone save, not ignore save again.
Ignore saves.
Yeah.
Go on. So here's. So if you have the super epic characters, right, which are most of the time what have this rule, right? You got oh god, what's his name?
Mortarion?
Mortarion is one of them. The one from Custodes. I can't remember his
Trajan
name.
Valoris.
Yeah, it's Trajan. I kept thinking Valdor Drago because we were talking
Constantine Valdor.
Yeah, I think is it Brother Captain Stern that does that in Grey Knights? I think. I don't know, but there's a lot of very epic characters that can do this, and I like that idea of them just being like, you can't, like, my might is so great that you cannot withstand my will, and you break through those defensive barriers, right? They're so heroic.
I don't mind it on one heavy hitting character or something like that.
Grey Knights have it on a normal Grandmaster. It's not even an
right.
No.
And the thing at the moment is that I think 2 armies have just a frickin' aura of it around a massive guy.
Yeah.
And then a couple of armies have like one character plugged in gives it, and a couple have stratagems, and then most just don't have it.
Space Marines have it on a fucking strat.
Yeah, they do.
Strat. You don't even have to fucking pay for it ahead of time.
Yeah.
Mercy is weakness, Ed. Say its name.
Isn't this just going to make stuff that does have those, like, the minuses?
No, I'm saying
half damage.
It has to go away because they're not going to write rules that Like I want it to go away because there's no need for it.
There's definitely
in
better
an ideal
ways
world,
to...
you've got that relationship between damage and attacks and stuff in a way where you don't have these unsolvable
I
problems.
fucking wish they hired someone whose job was to do maths for the balance. Genuinely, like, fucking give me a job. I will sit there with spreadsheets. I am a sick fuck. I love numbers, specifically for Warhammer. I will just do stats and go, guys, did you realize it takes 37 las cannons to kill that Catan? That's not a real number. I've just pulled that out of my ass.
Yeah.
But like, and if you don't kill it in one turn, it heals up to 6 wounds. We should probably have a tweak with those rules. Send it back to testing.
Yes, that's fair.
There's definitely ways of expressing that sort of survivability in other ways. Like the Index Lion had -1 to wound. That felt like a way of making a big character like that a bit more survivable, but not obnoxious. So there is other ways they could do it.
Why don't we? Wound when your strength is greater than the toughness of the unit. That feels like a very toned down, balanced way to do it.
Yeah.
Why don't we have it so that you can only take a certain amount of wounds per phase? And then you can have a unit that ignores that.
Jack, you're playing two armies that only function in the shooting phase. Don't do this to yourself.
This man is broken. Listen to him.
Imagine if Catan still had that. They literally could not die. They would never die.
So that's your 5 minutes, Ed. So I think we should probably go for a vote. We'll go in reverse from what we did last time. I think that this can go in the bin.
Podcast is in and says, "Catan, I am unkillable." Lol, said Mortarian Lamau. I love it.
I am convinced on this one actually because
I think
my crisis suits hitting on 5s is kind of crap. So
very misguided, some might say.
It's not. Here's the thing, right? I don't want it to go away because it's bad. I want it to go away because I don't get it, and so no one should have it.
I
think that's a good argument, though.
The recognition of your subjectivity here, Jack, is admirable.
Yeah. So I just want everyone to be as miserable as me. So I'm in favour of banishing this to Room 101. Ed, I'm guessing you're still...
Yeah, I'm never going to change my opinion.
Worth double checking.
Fucking modifiers going away is the platonic ideal Warhammer.
Scrivo, what are you thinking?
Get it in the bin.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. Just
I didn't need convincing.
Design it better so it's not needed. I'm here for it.
Okay, so that is the first. That's the first one. First concept going in Room 101. I should have made we should have got a cool sound effect of a door slamming or a vault locking. Yeah.
I've got noises, haven't I?
A Wilhelm scream.
Get ready for the next one. Just for completeness, what was the poll for that one?
Let's see. End poll. 77% say in.
Okay, so the poll agree with us.
Pretty much
agree with us.
The people are with us.
22% of you are wrong. And I will find you and have a rational debate about why my opinion is better.
Need to kill Necrons right now, and I fully understand it.
Yeah, I'm probably playing Custodes, so I'm going to benefit from it, but I don't want to have to.
That's why I trusted your take, because I know you're playing an army that uses it right now.
So I want to get rid of it from an army that benefits from it to kill the armies that I love. It's got to go.
Yeah.
Classic.
Okay. So Tom, you're next.
Okay, so my next one I think can have some caveats to it, and it'd be interesting to see what sort of caveats you think. I've gone with Skew.
No.
I deeply
don't take it away from me.
I deeply dislike Skew, and I want to define what I'm dealing with here. I'm talking about literally complete board coverage of one profile for an army. All War Dogs, all Black Templars tanks, just bajillions of little AdMech Rangers, whatever it is. I feel like it shouldn't be too hard to design armies with parameters and rules.
And yet here we are.
Prevent that from being A, an option, and B, also the best way to play the armies, which it sometimes is. I find it incredibly unimmersive. I literally start... I think dopamine bleeds out of my brain the second I walk up to a table with all one type of model on it, and I'm just struggling from there on out. I've got absolutely nothing going on. It's not especially interesting to play against, and certainly in a comp setting, it either just wins or it doesn't. It's just a thing that you shove, and either it's going to work or someone's got the answers, and then you just. So I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to lean hard into archetypes. I do like a bit of a concept where it's lent in a direction, but I think the game itself should definitely have mechanisms and levers within it, like we did have at different points, that just prevent that complete saturation of a whole army with just one sort of type of profile or unit. That's my.
So we're just saying delete knights from the game. Is that what?
No, because I think knights, if you just make it so they have to have like one or two big ones, and also so that the big ones are good, I'd be just fine with that. I appreciate knights are probably the hardest army to get right in this ballpark, and they're always skew of a kind. But I don't mind like different design space for armies in terms of the profiles and stuff. I just want to see a variety of models.
I guess you could add those AdMech Titan Defender units as like a core choice, like a battle line.
Yeah. And you could have like little foot guys or something, some admin, admin repairs guys or whatever else. Pickalax in the chat says, I think toughness skew is the most problematic type. Yeah, I think probably. You say you don't mind playing into hordes as you get to kill over and over. Yeah, and some armies are kind of hordes in design, right? But even so, in GSC, it's like they're very, very hordy most of the time. But I'd still rather have them designed so that a range of the support stuff is what you want to bring.
Do you think that, because there's a lot of like very thematic stuff you can do with this, right? You've got your guard infantry platoons, you've got your your spearhead, your space marine spearheads, all like predators and stuff. There's so much like thematic stuff that you can do with that if limiting it, do you not think that like takes away from, like, if you're going to play like a narrative game, that would take away from it?
Yeah, and I guess probably this is one of those times where you probably, like, we used to have more sort of detachment type constraints on the kinds of units you could have in a roster at a given moment. I actually had never had an issue with that. I quite liked it. It went away in Arcs of Omen, and it all got a bit loopy after that. And now obviously we have very minimal restrictions. You can run lists of just pure characters now, right? Which is bonkers, and people have done that. I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to have narratives sort of push into different themes, and you can definitely again have design rules with detachments that do allow you the space. Let's say it's an Iron Storm detachment, you just have more allocation for vehicles than you would otherwise, etc. I think so. David says the team's all about skew. Yeah, it is, but again, players skew as hard as you let them. So I'd rather that they were less able. Like, you can't skew to 100%. Sure, you can take it to 75, but you're not getting all the way there.
Do you have a poll for this one?
Let me just set one up. Tom was giving such a great kind of kind of breakdown of it that I was just overwhelmed by it.
So you're not the first.
What about yourself, Ed?
While we kind of just sit here, this is a personal attack on me.
Yeah,
and I will
fucking. I've gone straight for him.
Fucking dare you!
Right in the jugular.
How fucking dare you! You come to my fucking house and tell me that I can't run 5 Carnifexes, 2 Maleceptors, a Winged Flyrant, all the other bullshit. I think I had a Tyrannifex in there, and I had a great time. And you say to me, this isn't fun for my opponent. Well, I say, shouldn't have gone to a tournament. Fuck you.
That's already more variety than a lot of skew lists, to be honest. And I don't like Monster Mash. That's thematic, and as long as you've got like a few of each type of bug, I'm down.
Yeah,
it's like down.
You're telling me I can't have 6 carnivores, 6 brigands, 1 stalker who's my least favorite son. But I say that and I get genuinely a little bit like I feel bad about saying that in front of the stalker, even though it's just a bit of plastic. And I'm like, he's actually performed really well in the last 2 games. I'm sorry, I don't mean to demean you in front of your friends. I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, War Dogs are fucking great.
Yeah, I'm attacking you, Ed. I'm coming straight for you here. No, it's fine. When you ran that great unclean one in the Chaos
What do you mean that's fine? I'm the one who's here to be defended. You can't tell me how I fucking feel. No. It is fine, though.
I think there's degrees of skew, though. So you get the Manny skews that we've seen over the years, like the Cursed Cultist, where it's literally just max that you can fill in an army, basically. That's not an interesting game to play as the person playing it. And anyone that says is lying. unless they really enjoy breaking their own back and making their opponent watch the clock, hoping they'll end quicker.
I still don't even hate that one that much because at least it's got some rhinos, some marine bodies, some horde bodies. At least there's different things happening in it. They're all horrible, but it's when it's literally just a field of one profile.
I will come clean. At times, I have played very similar lists to what Manny is running at an event, but I always have slightly more variety in my units, which is probably why I'm winning less games. But yeah, I'm not fully on the Skew wagon. I can't be. You've got to have a little bit of a special snowflake, you know.
Yeah. Okay, let's have a vote. Tom, I'm guessing you are. You haven't been swayed. Great.
I'm going to stand by this. Yeah.
Okay, standing by yourself.
Events, I think I'm right. Yep.
Okay. Scrivo, what do you think?
See, I like a Skew list in as much as I like a themed list, like Orc Buggy list. But when it was just, here's 3 units of 3, get in the bin. I can't be asked for that. I like the idea of a bit of everything and some flexibility. So I just, the absolute Skew, gone. There's no creativity in that other than you found the cheap thing that's very points efficient. Well done. You've made the game boring. I can't be asked for that. Get it in the bin.
Clever Invective, by the way, in the chat says Skew wagon sounds like an orc vehicle, and I'm here for it. I've got
don't.
It just tilts off to one side.
It can only arc. It wheels.
What do you think, too, Ed?
Keep my fucking orc buggies out your goddamn mouth. They're going to stay out of the room 101. They're going to stay in my room. Here. This is where they're staying.
We've always got an orc buggy to hand, Ed. I don't know why. It's like a comfort
I just
thing,
have
right?
a little bit of everything, yeah.
I think my problem with this one is that there's too many like Skew lists that aren't good, right? That you would just take for like narrative fluffy purposes. That to bin them off, I think would be a real shame.
Okay.
So I think it would be better to just make the lists that ask you stuff like knights just like a little bit less shit to play against, rather than just getting rid of them entirely. So I'm going to say no on this one, which puts us to another
we need people involved.
another tiebreaker.
Oh my gosh!
I will caveat. The game is more fun to write lists when there are more restrictions in place. I wish they'd bring that back.
Because you're loving Old World, and Old World's got all sorts going on, right?
But it's got granularity as well. It's like, how am I making these units? Am I putting a banner? Is there a musician? Ooh,
I'm writing
how many ranks am I doing?
Yeah.
I've got one good unit in my core. What do I do for the other 300 points? Fuck.
I think in general, I do just miss that having to make choices and think about that element of design.
And it rewards you, right? If you make the right choices and it's unusual, you go, look at me, guys, I've done a really clever thing. And without that, you're just like, cool, I've just played the same army as everyone else and not done as well because of matchups. That's not as fun.
Okay, so in terms of the poll, what are we looking at?
The button. We are looking at, it's coming up, in 57%.
Okay, so that's
through, boys.
That's going into room 101. Skew armies. Goodbye, knights. We don't need you anymore. Okay.
There you go, Ed. Just for you. I found the buttons.
Right. Okay. I've got one. If you want to, you just want to keep going around. E3 is
no.
Yeah, you go. Let's have it.
I need to mock your opinions.
Right. So mine is fast rolling.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I cannot stand this because when you're shooting a fucking anything with feel no pains and you got like damage 2 shots and you have like, okay, here's 36 wounds. I'm just gonna roll these 2. I'm gonna roll 2. I'm gonna roll 2. I'm gonna roll 2, and you're there for like fucking 5 minutes just trying to roll out one activation, and it just drives me absolutely insane, especially when it's like a 6+ feel no pain and they fail them like both like 6 times in a row, or it's like damage 3 or 4 and they just fail a bunch of them in a row. So it's all for nothing because they don't pass anything, but they might pass one and they might have one guy left at the end, and it's just such a waste. And I think it really contributes to like with that stacking durability thing, where, you know, if you have like damage, wraiths are a perfect example, right? If you have like damage 4 going, or actually damage 5 going into wraiths, for example, and you pass 2 of those saves, and then you have to take another one on another hit on a wraith, and you have to roll like 5 Fiona Pains and a Wraith with 1 wound left. You lose like 4 of those, even if they, fail them. So I would rather see it be something like all the models that are in the unit have like a wound pool, and then you just can't kill more models than you do wounds.
Is this fucking Age of Sigmar?
I was about to say, you want to play Age of Sigmar? You filthy casual.
I do know what you mean about the sort of slow roll dimension of this, not just because I've seen Joe Reed roll saves for his custodies. I think it's one of those things where it just it's very tedious and time consuming to work.
Nothing
it out.
brings me more joy than making 11 out of like 14 5-up Philippines on my wraiths and just looking my opponent in the eyes as I roll each.
Actually roll. Yeah.
Just be like.
The other one actually is if you're going to do like 10 saves for you in the 4-up invulnerable save, rolling them one at a time because you might re-roll one. Fate dice are really bad for this as well. This really annoys me. Rolling them one at a time because they always roll better when you roll them one at a time.
Yeah,
and
except Archons. Archons don't. They don't.
Yeah, true.
2 up. Oh, he's dead.
I played against Rob Kimpton, and I put something like 18 wounds onto his Archon, and he passed all of them. So,
hey, good for Rob Kimpton. That's nice.
Tom's just like, how does he do it?
That's fucking Nam flashbacks to all of the edition.
I painted my new Archon up, and I was like, "You're going to be the one that doesn't do this," and then he failed on the first one as well.
You put too much pressure on him. You got to just.
I think that's right. I'm talking them up, and I need to just let them relax and do their thing. Jack says, "Bring back instant death." So, some kind of instant death rule, would that help with this?
That will be a problem.
I think that it becomes problematic with the way 40k is now.
People just stack into it.
Yeah, but it's just it's just so time consuming, right? Especially with armies like what's the World Eaters list with all the jackals and the 4-up invulnerable and the 6-up Fiona Pain. Oh my god, that takes so long to do anything, and people end up getting clocked out. And it's just so unnecessary. Like, I get you get a small advantage by, like if you were to roll like 10,
skew into it, right?
Yeah, if you had like 10 invulnerable saves and custodies, they fail one and they'll re-roll it and they pass all of them. Haha. Like, okay, sure, they get a small advantage, but they rolled good. Like, it's just I don't think it's just such a huge time sink. I don't know.
Yeah,
I would
says
argue
Old World put the feel no pain before damage taken. Maybe that's
Yeah, so instead of like damage 3 being 3 feel no pains, you just roll 1 and then it's
that's interesting.
I would argue that it's not the player's fault because mechanically it's in their interest to do that way. What we should actually be seeking here is that the rules are written in a concise manner that you don't have to roll 8 million dice just to resolve a shooting interaction and do the saves. There is much more elegant modern solutions to that than just roll a bucket D6. So there is routes. Like there is so many different games. Like Star Wars Legion is quite elegant in its approach to that. So I think Games Workshop could look at
dice rolls out of my cold fucking dead hands, buddy.
Shockingly, Ed is holding on to the past during this game. It's interesting to see.
God, such a boomer.
If you fire like 3 las cannons at a unit, you can kill up to 3 models. Right? I think that seems because then it doesn't spill over, and then it doesn't go the other way, and you end up with like 1 las cannon killing like
we almost saw a las cannon
4 space marines
for the first time ever.
Yeah. Bring back beams. Got it. Nice. Like it. Okay.
I don't know. There's just so much. The other one as well. I think it's just because Eldari players. I think it's just Eldari players that wind me up. Actually, the rolling like I've got I don't know 36 shots from my warp spider unit. I'm gonna roll them one at a time until I fail a 2+ to wound on your toughness 3 unit because I want to re-roll 1. And you say just roll them all. And just re-roll a 1. It's fine. I'll let you have the advantage. I don't care. I just want us to move on from this. And then they say, no. I'm going to roll them one at a time.
On their time.
Well, yeah, it's on their time, so it's fine. I don't care. It's still tilting. I hate that. I really hate that.
I do understand that. I think it's especially jading when there are dice manipulation mechanics somewhere down that chain as well. It is extremely silly.
Because you've got to have the save, you've got to have the automatically turn the save to a 6, you've got to have the re-roll a save with a CP, and you've got to have the fate dice. You've got to have it all together.
Or you blank the damage. Come on, let's get the full house.
And the blank damage, yeah, true.
Oh.
That's probably about 5 minutes. Let's go to a vote. I'm stubborn. I'm sticking to my ways here as well. Scrivo, where you going?
No. I like rolling my 4-up saves and failing 90% of them when I shouldn't statistically fail them, but I will still roll them one at a time just so I can re-roll one of them, and it still doesn't matter. And it's fine. I'm not crying inside, you're crying inside.
Ed, what about you?
Nah, I'm keeping it. The one thing I will say that I would love to get rid of is because I'm quite good at fast rolling these Feel the Pains now, because a lot of the models that I've played have them.
Okay,
But no, every few games my opponent's like, so wait, hold on, what just happened? And I'm like, oh fuck, sorry, I've not made that clear for you. I'm rolling, at speed because I've got a lot of saves to make. But now you're just going, wait, hold on, how many saves have you taken? That I would like to get rid of.
I've definitely had people just like damage has just disappeared because they've been rolling like 30 sets of 2 dice.
It definitely does happen
sometimes.
And
I've 100. I'm like, I just did like 42 wounds to that Black Templar unit, and you've only taken 8 models off. How did that happen?
Skill issue, mate.
Yeah. How about yourself, Tom?
I'm going to come with you on this one. I don't know where we're going, but I'm happy to explore. I do think damage allocation takes up a lot of time in the current game, especially when you're firing lots and lots of stuff into very durable stuff, and it is very tedious. And it seems to be, there's quite a lot of stat checking and/or manipulating sort of tools in some of the rule sets that are really obnoxious and really annoying.
Oh no.
So that would put us to the tiebreaker, but as of current, it's a 50-50 on
it's
the
just
poll.
jumped. It's just
but
jumped
that's
up.
the first one that's in. So it's that's some more votes going into the tiebreak. So yeah, that's 60% in room 101.
Wow, there
we are banishing slow rolling from the game. Thank you very much.
I'm just going to spend that time that I'm not going to be using for that now on my time, arms folded, just sighing now. Great, cool, it's fine.
Cool. Love you, chat. Thank you. So to go back round again, I think we can probably do one more round of these. I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Scrivo, have you got a second candidate for room 101?
I've got 2 great ones, but I'm going to go with: can we sack off physical rulebooks? So my argument is they haven't even released them quite often, and they're already out of date. The rules are pointless. They're already not putting the points in. Why put the data sheets in there? Make them digital. Make it a book where you get your download code shoved in the back. You can have all of it. You can have them printed out however you want. Have it be a narrative book that's got all the story and pretty pictures, and it's not aging out within 2 seconds. And then just let us have the app do it. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
It's 2024 now.
Just
I've got a lot of
system that won't get updated.
You can't buy the books, Ed. That's the irony. So they're already paper free.
You can, because I got it.
Just have your lore, and you can have your crusade rules. I can't even argue against you with this, Scrivo, because I'm so on board with this. I cannot. Coming from a game system that is exclusively digital rules, I just cannot. Just 40k drives me insane sometimes trying to get the rules for stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you don't just look on the app if you spend loads of money.
I don't think the book should be like the way in which the game is updated and balanced, because obviously they're not anyway. And I think you should have it all available digitally as we're kind of moving to. I love books though. I remember getting my Death Guard Codex when I'd first got back in the game for Christmas, and I was just the most chuffed person. And you're reading it, and you're reading all the lore and all that. New book smell is genuinely a real thing, and I love it.
You still have your book.
Well,
it just has to have no rules in it.
Well, why would I fucking want it then?
Yeah, I like having
what
rules.
do I fucking look like?
I enjoy
Tom's explaining.
I like leafing through the rules. I do enjoy that. I say I've got the NIDS one on the shelf. Am I going to play NIDS? No, not really. But I enjoy having a sort of flick through it.
I have spent so many hours reading through this. Have I read through the section that just says, and in 1704, the Empire... No, have I read the bit that says, the bombardment rules 16 times? I have, and I've gone, give me some of those fucking rock lobbers.
Oh, interesting. Some members of the chat aren't sure actually which side they're voting for when they vote in or out, which is interesting.
For the next
It'd be a real shame if polls were being decided with people not fully understanding what they were voting for. We couldn't have that.
Tom.
Maybe number 5, and they're not sure. Guys,
maybe for the
come on.
For the next one, we could do banish to room 101.
Yeah, that's a good shout. But yes, if you're putting it in, you are getting rid of it. You are banishing it. in this instance, the books. I mean, I guess from an environmental standpoint as well, the books are also not ideal.
So the other thing as well that I've noticed, because I played, as I said before earlier on, played in 5th edition, went away, played Fantasy, and then came back and got a 9th edition. The codex and like the unit entries are so much worse, I feel like, now than they were back then, which is very much a back in my day like kind of opinion, right? But like I remember looking at the 5th edition, I remember very distinctly getting this like the Space Wolf Codex and looking at all like the full page like spread you had of like informational lore about each unit, and then the little special rules, and then you had like the reference in the back. I really liked that like format of it, because I could really like get my teeth into like what that unit was all about and how they did like how they were created and how they do stuff, and I found that really interesting. Whereas now it's like a sentence or two you get, and then it's just like a very, I don't like the way that the data sheets are laid out. They're fine on the cards, I think in the books they look kind of ugly and amateurish.
They work better on the cards than they do. I really like the cards, actually. I thought they were a great addition. But actually, I guess if you bought a book that just had the lore and the cards, maybe that does it.
Because the thing that also kind of reminded me was that there was a time where a book would last more than 3 years. Now you're lucky if it lasts 3 years of being current, not even to date, like with accuracy. So it's like you're buying a book for that short amount of time. It's a lovely hardcover book, but how many times do you generally pick it up and read it during those 3 years?
So much more often than you would think. But I get it.
But you know what I mean? Like it just feels a little wasteful to me now. I'm just like,
Suck off the cards as well.
Discussing the Resilient podcast say they used to have pages dedicated to the weapons used by the army. I also loved that. I absolutely loved that.
That's what I would buy.
The Harlequins ones with the descriptions of what those weapons do to people. It was mental and it was amazing. It was really. And
there's less of everything.
The Harlequins Codex in 8th was one of my absolute favorites. It was such a cool little book. It was really, really good.
Gone but not forgotten.
Yeah. They'll be back. They'll be back. Everyone's going to love it, and they'll be back.
Another side benefit of this, I guess, is that you could also that can maybe encourage Games Workshop to add some new fucking lore to their army books instead of just reprinting the same shit every fucking time.
Jack, you don't want this. The last time they did this, we got Primaris Marines.
Hey, we got.
I like Primaris Marines.
Don't
forget the whole Arcs of Omen thing.
Yeah. I actually like the narrative moving forward. I like all that stuff.
I like it going a little bit. It was a series of lore books that didn't have rules in, so nobody bought them, so nobody knows any of the lore, and none of it mattered.
I'm very upset that there is some vague hope
I've read them.
for humanity now, whereas before it was just, God, we're fucked. Like, we're so fucked. And, this faction's fucking us, and the Tyranids are coming. They're still coming very slowly. But, like, before it was just like, God, I mean, I don't know what we're gonna do, and now it's like,
guess I'll die.
We've made loads of new Space Marines. Surely this will help. I don't want it to help.
It won't help.
You gotta buy some time.
Okay, let's go for a vote then. Scrivo, I'm guessing you're still
save the trees, yeah.
Yeah, I am also in the same boat, straight in there, like right to the back. I say of Room 101. What are you thinking, Tom?
I'm not coming with you on this one. I love the books too much, and I appreciate I have a huge blind spot. But
bloody academics and their books.
Yeah, I was going to say it's the. I haven't got the memo. I'm still living in the past, and I absolutely love codexes. And I don't want them to go away.
Ed, what are you thinking?
Fuck trees.
Oh. So you want to keep?
Yes.
Physical book.
Yes.
God, yeah. If you'd asked me before Old World came out, I'd have probably been like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. But this has just been like, it's so nostalgic, just leafing through.
He's connected to something deep inside.
Boomer Ed. It's the new phase.
Picklex says, Tom is clearly in Big Book's pocket. The man has a bookshelf behind him.
You work at a university. That sounds about right.
Yeah. I am book biased, I'm afraid. Right. Okay. What's the poll saying?
That's 2 and 2, so it pulls us to the poll. But the poll says 75% banished to Room 101.
Wow, there we go.
Get in the back.
And whilst we're at it, can we get rid of these instruction leaflets and just have them as a PDF that we use a QR code instead?
Because what am I going to put my paints and glues on, John?
Damn right. Also, can we not fucking like digitize and put everything in an app? Can we just like, have standalone things? Can I not download something just to fucking have a product?
Digitize the world. Plug me in,
No.
man. I'm ready for the Matrix.
Absolutely fucking not.
No.
Like,
Yeah, give me.
He wants a book of grudges with all of his stat lines in, and they're not going to change for 10 years because that's what the old world used to be like, right?
You're in my book of grudges.
Nah, digital everything. Sign me up. Give me that AI girlfriend. Plug me in.
God,
I'm ready to go.
God, it's not real. It's just iterative. Your AI girlfriend's got a headache too, mate. It's bad news.
My next thing for Room 101 is AI girlfriends.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, let's go.
Amazing.
Tom.
All right.
What would you like to put as a second candidate?
I'm gonna go for fixed secondaries.
Oh, I had a feeling you were going to go for this one.
I am going for fixed secondaries, and here's my pitch. My pitch is, if we're doing cards and chaos, then great, let's do that, because the cards force dynamic play, they force interaction between the two armies, they add a bit of variance in the scoring, and you have to build armies that design to play all of them and be in lots of different places in the board, which I think adds a lot. If some options for fixed just exist that just are just straight up easier and less complicated than doing that, then people will always continue to solve and lean into that. I don't think actually really enjoyed secondaries in 9th where you had 3 and there was a whole lot of interplay with all of that. But I think at the moment I feel like you've got most of the way there to getting us using cards and having a bit of randomness, a bit of chaos, a bit of interaction in the game. So I just think pull the band-aid off, put fixed to bed, and just do that. And do that for this edition, and then try something else after if you want. I dislike you get something like the homers popping up again, and then it's just an auto 15.
So
basically just stranglehold back again, and you get a bunch of really joyless zero-sum top-level play where there's fucking nothing going on, and it's extremely tedious. I mean, Jack, you've been on the other end of this with the Tau situation where, again, you know people can just bring it down in homers, and you know that's going to happen. And it just, and that's Clever Invective in the chat says tactical ensures diverse armies, and I agree. I think it's there's a dynamism to tactical that I think is nice, and then the broader balance of the game is assured by some armies might not be quite as good at tactical, but they're very good at primary, vice versa, and it all kind of levels out.
My one counterpoint is I hate losing a close game because my opponent gets 4 bangers on turn 4 and 5, and I get
I do get
2 and 1 that's kind of scoreable. And I re-roll 1. I'm like, shit.
Or you get bring it down that would decide it, and then you remember they don't have any fucking vehicles or monsters, and you're like, cool.
That needs to have a new rider on there.
We can definitely make tactical better, and I hope they continue to do it. But I think if we're doing it, let's just do it. I think it works in a lot of ways. I think it's great fun.
So here's my problem, right? Games Workshop has this history of doing this thing where they give you 2 options, like you can do it our super fun, happy way where we really want you to do this, and then the normal way, which makes sense, and everyone does that.
Yeah.
Look at war gear points costs and power level, and then later on, Games Workshop was like, you know what? We could just give you power level instead and call it points, and they took it away from us. And guess what? Everyone thinks it's terrible, right? Everyone thinks it's terrible, right?
Yeah.
That is exactly the same concept with fixed and tactical objectives. I'm 100% with Ed as well. I fucking hate games being won and lost based on the cards. That is absolute bullshit. I hate that. And I also there is good bits. I do think there's good bits. The gaining CP and stuff, I think, is a very cool
I like that
thing. Especially for, again, an army like Tau, which doesn't have very good CP generation. It's a godsend. But then I think the fact you can design your list to play a certain set of secondary objectives, I think is really good. I think the main issue, because I know you really don't like teleport homers, and I think that's the biggest offender for you.
Yeah,
Tom.
honestly, I actually think the balance between the two was fine until they bumped up homers, at which point it tipped over into fixed just became too obvious.
I don't think the problem was with teleport homers. I think the problem is with UKTC terrain, where you can have
not an unreasonable assessment. Yeah.
Which you can have 2 sides cover, and you can just sit in a bunker in the middle and do it every turn with Nurglings.
Both is good. It's both.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I like the way that you can do both and you can choose, and player choice for me is always better. But yeah, because I don't want to have to go for the randomness if I don't have to.
Yeah.
Because I would rather have like a more deterministic play style. That's just me. Every single time I get score of 22 on secondaries because my cards are terrible.
This is one of a few
I never
things
play
where we've talked about it before, but some people really like that schematic way of thinking about the game, and some people like the more reactive and chaotic. And I just like unknowns in games. I really enjoy that. I really, really enjoy that. And the more of those around, the better. And if those mean losing sometimes, so be it. But
the problem is not every army is designed from a conceptual level, like a lore level. They're not designed to be around the battlefield and very rapidly doing going around doing stuff on the board to get secondary objectives. So I think that just creates like a have and have not situation.
Yeah, I get that.
If you have like super MSU or very fast units that can do that all the time or very hard to kill.
Who'd have that?
I was
Eldar bastards.
Yeah, I was super hot on the cards when the edition came out, but I was playing Eldar.
So. Yeah,
exactly.
They gave me jump pack guys, so suddenly I was up for that.
But Eldar, when correctly balanced, which they've not been all edition,
never will be,
are vulnerable on primary, and so it should even out. They should be good at secondary, weak on primary, and then in theory the design space works. But obviously it doesn't work that way.
I just think I don't know. I think it creates it ends up creating an imbalance, and it takes away like your player choice, and it takes half of the score, like 40 points out of the game, essentially out of your control, right? If you're playing certain armies can do it, right? If you're playing like, I'd say Eldar or Drakari or Genestealer cults or Tyranids. I've just listed off all the armies that you played.
Votan, Night Lords.
Votan struggle.
I'm just teasing, Tom. I'm just listing
those armies. Yeah, those armies are really good at it. But then you look at other armies like, like Guard. I think Tau bad at it, but that's just me. I'm always going to say that. There's lots of factions in the game that just aren't ever going to be good at it because there does. You got the Disgustingly Resilient podcast in the chat. Death Guard, terrible because they're incredibly slow.
They do really need the old fixed secondaries a lot of the time.
So I think it takes away more from the game than it adds, because it adds fun for certain people and it takes it away for others. So I'd rather have everyone like included and it be okay for everyone.
I think I am reassured at least this edition that they're genuine, even at the top of the game, they genuinely aren't just always do this. Like a lot of top players do still diverge on it, which I think is great. So I think it's not been a disaster. For me, I'm like, if we're going to do the random, let's do the random all the way in. Okay.
Okay, let's go for the vote. Tom, what are you voting?
I'm going to stand by it, but I'm going to be honest.
Stand by.
I'm going to be honest. Good arguments in defense of fixed secondaries have been made, and you have warmed the cockles of my heart. But also, I'm never wrong, so I'm not changing my mind.
Nice warm cockles. Scrivo, what are you thinking?
So, in their current format, I say bin them, but I feel like, like anything, if you recalibrate them and make both a balanced choice so that it's a situational or list-based decision, and it's not, this is just mechanically just much better and it being a bit dumb, I'd be happy with it. So I like having the choice, but not at the cost of, like you said, kind of, I just feel like if you tone all those ones down and then also rebalance some of the tactical ones so that the problems we've got there are gone, there isn't an issue, rather than it being...
Clever invective has set me up against myself very cleverly by saying fixed is a good way of checking against Skew.
Yeah.
Now I can't have everything I want. Is that what you're saying, Clever Invective?
I'll say
it's simple.
Skew's in the room already, so you don't have to.
I'll save you. I'll save you with that one because there's armies like Tau and GSC, which naturally, by their thematic nature, bring a lot of vehicles or assassination points. Like that kind of hurts that army unnecessarily, and I don't think there's a way to balance against that.
Sure.
It's almost like a balancing lever that doesn't need to be there. Just write rules that make sense for those factions instead of being like,
sensible limitations on how much stuff they can bring. Yeah,
that sounds too hard. Ed, what are you voting?
I am very similar to you. I don't like variance in my games. I want to like every list I play, every the way I approach the game is remove as much variance as possible, because I want to have consistent results. I don't play Warhammer for fun, mate. I play it to win.
I've noticed.
So, what was your vote against Scrivo?
I would bin them only if they're in the current form because they're not balanced.
We don't do riders. We don't do riders here in Room 101.
So to me, like that's how it's been pitched to me. So they're gone.
Sweet. Going in? Okay.
Yeah.
So going in, so it's 2 and 2 either side again. Draws. This poll was a great idea because we needed it. So that according to the chat poll we've got here.
Boom.
We have got 54% in Room 101.
We did it. We did it, boys.
Game is once again ruined. 40k is dead. And then we'll play 11th edition. Okay. Right, okay. So, Ed.
No, hold on. Fucking clever invective coming for me. Says, I don't like variants and plays dice rolling. Yeah, I play armies that inherently skew towards reliability. Oh, hey, Custodes. Yeah. I'm going to be hitting on 2s with fucking sustained hits. Don't you fucking, Don't you fucking
come for him. Keep him honest, clever invective. He's full of shit.
He played Eldar and release. He's the bad guy. It's fine. You know?
Those two completely unrelated.
Yeah.
That was a really fun game at the Invitational.
Shush.
Oh, we played. I've forgotten.
How's that Farseer turn 1? Boom!
So Ed, what is your second nomination for Room 101?
I'm just gonna fucking I'm gonna pander to the crowd. Now, we all love the military here. Y'all, my fellow Americans. But these guard players, they're wrong. We got to get rid of indirect fire. It's got to go.
Oh, I'm so glad you chose this.
I didn't put it on the list because I thought you'd all put it.
No. We've had, for those that don't know, within our team chat, we've had a lot of passionate conversations about indirect fire lately. There's been it's on the radar, and
it's just shit. It doesn't it inherently favors bad players. There's no decision making. I was going I went 4-1 at a very early 9th edition GT UKTC GT I went to when I was just relearning the game realistically, because I was playing fucking squig buggies and I was like, oh hey, you're playing marine bodies? No, you're not. I was only running 6 of them. That list fucking played itself, and God, I loved it. I loved how many dice I rolled. Another fucking stab against variance there. Roll loads of fucking dice, and you'll do well. Fucking looking at you. But yeah, no, I just want it gone. I've played it when it's good, and it's in the armies that I've got. But I'd be super happy if it was never played again.
I'm going to go on a massive rant about this in a second, so I need you guys to go first.
Can we meet you?
No,
you guys can go first.
The man's entitled to his piece. I didn't bring it because I didn't want to set him off, but you've done it, so here we are.
For fuck's sake, well done.
I don't think it needs to be completely out the game. I just want to see it have sensible limitations where it can gradually chip away at things.
When have they ever fucking written it correctly, though?
And it never has it. But again, they wrote the basics of some of the lessons learned last edition into the rules, and then they just gave all the indirect pieces rules that let them ignore all of those things. And it's you didn't need to do that.
Or oppressive special rules.
Don't give it rules layers on top. Exactly. Just again discussing Resilient podcast in the chat. Plagueburst Crawler's kind of fine. They're a bit juicy with Mortarion, but that's a lot of points to take. And then most of the time they do exactly that thing of, if I let them do this for 4 turns, I sure will have lost some units. That's not too bad, it's okay. Yeah, so I would definitely have it greatly curtailed. I guess if the choice is every edition we have some chunk of time where artillery is too good, or just not have it, I would choose not have it because I got tabled by mass airburst enough times when Tau had that moment, and it was very boring. It was very, very boring.
What do you think, Scrivo?
To me, the biggest problem I have with Indirect isn't the Indirect itself, but a lot of the time it's the special rules that just by being hit by it. So it's not just that it's indirect. It's the whole, look, you've just been hit by an Eldar gun. Now your guys can't advance. They're only going 2 inches a turn. That's the game over. And there's literally not anything interesting in the game once that happens. And I just can't be arsed with it. As someone that's played a lot of Indirect, because it felt like a necessary evil that if you're going to a tournament, you bring the nasty toys. I wouldn't miss it. I really wouldn't. Like, those whirlwinds can stay there, and like, take the special rules away from them so that they only get those if you're shooting direct or something. Just make it so there's a reward to actually risking them, not just I'm behind this ruin for the entire game, because no one needs to see a D cannon sat behind that L. It's boring.
All right, Jack. The stage is set. Lay it on us. Be gentle.
So, not only do I think that Indirect should... It's not only that it should not go in room 1-1, I think it's an essential part of the game, actually.
Okay.
Right?
I only play in one phase. Play dirt. You fuck.
Let him
some
finish.
fucking melee in your town, you shit.
Let the man finish.
If they put a melee weapon in, I bloody would!
What, Ed, this is horrible because you're attacking Jack from far away and there's nothing he can do about it. Okay?
I know.
It's really
Yeah, but he can see me though. So
I'll wait.
You're replying. You're slowing his reply as well.
Right, Jack, finish your piece.
Right. So, I get it that Indirect can feel kind of bad, right? When you want to hide a unit and there's a 120-inch range manticore that can just hit you wherever you go. I get it. That can feel bad, right? I totally understand. But I think most of the reaction that people get from it is because it's kind of like a knee-jerk thing. It's not something you can react against. It's just something you have to sort of withstand, and it just becomes a war of attrition, which I get it. In general 40k, where hiding and stuff and terrain is a big part of the game, and people would, when that's taken away from them, that safety blanket of their L-shaped ruin is taken away from them, people can get very upset. I totally understand that, right? But at the same time, right, and once again, Eldar players are ruining everyone's day, right? Because I reckon it's mostly them complaining about this.
They've got half the good Indirect left in the game. They are the problem.
If your army has got 3 units of... We can say it's for Drukhari and other armies as well. I'm going to use Eldar as an example because it's fresh in my mind. If you have 3 units of 5 Warp Spiders and 3 units of 5 Hawks and 3 units of 5 Shadow Spectres, and then you get upset because 2 Manticores and a Sentinel and a free strat kills like 1 unit because you can't hide it. Like, you just need to take something with Lone Op or something that's a bit more resilient, right? Like a Wraith Lord or something. I know it's not a normal choice. I just,
that's literally why it's back.
Something that's not MSU Toughness 3 models, right? Because guess what? That's what Indirect is good against. Right? To me, it's no different having it like that's a tool in a toolbox. No different to having a bunch of flamers in a unit for Overwatch. It's the same kind of idea. And yes, I do play an army which struggles to deal with things that hide behind L-shaped ruins. I understand my bias is there. I know it's there, right? But armies like that, and Tau have a history with airbursting fragmentation projectors of deleting units, right? I totally get it. Now, Tau Indirect is completely worthless, right? Which is it's just like a move in the other direction, which is like, it feels bad for the Tau players, right? And I get it. No one likes Tau players, so people get them to be miserable. That's fine. I get it. That is the cross that I've chosen to bear. Okay, like, everyone gets to hate me, right? But I just...
how I wouldn't hate you if you were a Kroot player.
Nice.
Yeah, when they have those indirect Kroot guns with the nets that slow people, mate.
Or just so good melee, which comes back to what you said.
Melee is just indirect, right? With more steps.
It's direct. It's direct.
No. Let me finish.
Shut the fuck up. No, it's not. You have to fucking commit actual points to units if you put melee on the board.
Let me finish. Let me finish. Because when I'm playing against CSM, or when I was playing against CSM in the last data slate, because no one plays them anymore, when I was playing against them, and they would sit in their little L-shaped ruin with their Rhino and their 27-inch threat range that I cannot go in, because if I do, I will die, and I cannot kill that unit because it's inside a Rhino. It might as well be indirect, right? For the same impact it has on the game.
It's
right?
degrees of non-interactiveness, but they do lose the thing they send.
Yeah, there's lots of good indirect in the game, like quote unquote good indirect in the game, because there's ways to do it right and there's ways to do it wrong. Stuff like the I can't remember what it's bloody called now. The Achilles Ridge Runner, I think, is fine.
It's
right?
perfect. It does fuck all, and it's a force multiplier.
Yeah, exactly. It's very minor damage. I think actually GSC has a lot of like quote unquote healthy indirect because it just doesn't like ruin the game for anyone.
No, I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
Which I think it should be able to clear stuff that like small chaff units, right? From behind walls and stuff, and then like just as a tool.
Yeah.
I think people do overreact a bit when it comes to indirect, particularly for the manticores. Like when you work out the maths of what a manticore does, it doesn't kill a 5-man T3 like aspect warrior unit. It doesn't kill that in cover. You have to throw you have to kill like 2 manticores and use like a sentinel to spot for them. That's like 450 points or something to do that, right? To kill that one unit. So I think it's just I think it's an overreaction because it feels bad. So I know I'm going on a rant with this. Sorry.
Some of the most vocal complainants about indirect are actually the 2 camps that are currently using it on each other, which is Eldar and Guard. No one else is really in this fight. I think Death Guards is fine. GSC is fine. Who else even has it?
Marines, and they're only a problem if they're in
It's kind of gone. Whirlwind's gone now. Yeah.
But you look back at Marines, look at Desolation Marines. That's the unhealthy way of doing it, right?
Yeah, because that's what it is. Every 6 to 12 months, they fuck the game for like 3 months, and you're like, I don't want to go to events because I'm going to be.
But that's no different to having something like Wraith Guard come in and just be a massive, like a nexus point that the whole meta revolves around. Right, it used to be Desolation Marines. Then it becomes
Wraith Guard.
No, you couldn't. I couldn't.
Well, play an army that has multiple phases. Like
just spend another like 500 quid on a new army, Jack. No worries. Yeah, we'll just do that. Fuck it. I mean, I know I'm doing that anyway, but fuck it, right? Like,
hurry up.
Shit argument.
GSC are notoriously cheap. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I just feel like it's people's dislike of indirect is definitely a knee-jerk reaction to something that feels bad, and rather than something that's actually unhealthy for the game. Because I think it's a bigger boogeyman in people's heads than what it actually is. Particularly right now, I think the actual damage output of stuff like Manticores and Basilisks and generally Guard indirect is a lot less than people think it is. Because when people think indirect, they think like me losing a 14 wound Riptide to a single shot from a Night Spinner, or losing like 6 Terminators to a Desolation Marine squad, and that's what they think of when they think of indirect. I think they have their perceptions coloured a little bit, when in reality it doesn't actually do that much damage, and it can be a very useful tool for armies which it makes sense in a thematic sense for them to have an indirect tool to deal with like little tiny units. But yes, I completely agree. It shouldn't be like deleting units and destroying half your army.
I actually think the worst indirect piece in the game is the D cannon anyway, not any of the
I think you're right there.
I think the D cannon is insane, and that again isn't because of what the D cannon does. The D cannon's profile is fine. The problem is what happens when you layer it with full rerolls to hit, wound, apply your damage dice, all of the other things that Eldar have, and that's the issue really with that particular index. It's not the artillery piece per se; it's the combinations on top of it.
Yeah, which is always going to be a problem because games can't do maths. Which is why, like, I've played oppressive non-line of sight armies.
Oh, me too, man. I had a great time with Night Spinners and Dark Reapers.
Yeah, but like, you get a few games in, and you're just like, God, this is fucking miserable for all of my opponents. Like, this sucks.
I think taking something away because you can't trust people to be responsible with it is. I think I
write your competitive rule sets.
I choose to believe in people. Right, I choose.
I
choose to believe in people. Right,
captain, my captain.
I choose to have faith. All right.
Here's the fucking thing: humans are inherently fucking awful. End of sentence.
This has gone to a really deep philosophical place that I did not anticipate.
So for me, the real big challenge isn't ever the damage. It's often your Night Spinner problem, where I'm playing a non-skew list. My 1 brick of Terminators gets hit by one of those 3 Night Spinners all game. I don't get to play with my 1 cool unit that I really wanted to throw into people.
Yeah.
And if that's 400 points of my army, that's a miserable experience that just on matchup, I go, cool. I've got to put them in deep strike, and that feels shit, right? And that's not about damage. That's just a stupid special ability, which
I think
they shouldn't be able to do.
Yeah, that's a thematic thing they've chosen because it makes sense for the artillery to be able to do that, like suppressing fire. I get that's problematic. I totally understand. Something like that should probably be like a stratagem or something. I think it was a stratagem. Those sorts of things were stratagems in like 9th edition, right? Rather than data sheet abilities.
This is why it has to go. We had an oppressive fucking non-line of sight meta where Desolation Marines were the worst thing in the fucking game. And then they wrote a new set of rules after they fixed Desolation Marines.
And immediately broke
and immediately Desolation Marines were the problem again. My first fucking game, no, I played against Chris Radford, his first game in 10th edition, and he had a brick of 10 Desolation Marines and a Librarian Dreadnought, which is a fucking hilarious combination.
That actually,
I deployed.
I used that with Blood Angels. That was
great,
fun. Yeah.
I deployed a squad of a max squad of bikes, the Eldar jet bikes with a Farseer. Out of range of them. I was like, this is going to be great. I can do some, I can do this. And then he just like picked them up, moved them across. And he was like, yeah, so I'm effectively a 120-inch range. And then he just killed the entire squad. And I was sad.
I think, it's just, there's definitely like abuses in there, right? And I think, so.
I agree with you. Ultimately, it's about how it's written and how it's balanced.
But I don't think they're any worse than, for example, Wraithguard, right?
No,
or as an example of a unit, right?
How do you playing around Wraithguard, you don't shoot them and you charge them. That's the play around. How do you play
I play Tau, right? Like
Ed charged Tau into me.
The problem I guess the problem with Wraithguard specifically is just it's a thing that Tau are a weird one. We'll set them aside for a minute. Most other armies, if you want to get rid of them,
as the competitive scene has done, putting me aside, Tau.
Yeah. But if you wanted to deal with that unit, you have to kill it in one go, right? So, back when they had like pistols and stuff, and if you tried to charge them, they'd shoot you in anyway, right? That situations like that where you couldn't get rid of them in one go, because if you did, or if you got rid of half of them, they would just kill you back, right?
Mate, you wrecked me at Old World by using, chaff units to shape my game. This is just all you do with like a short range. Like they only shoot 18-inch range, and they yes they can move, but they can't move through models. Like
you chose not to shoot the bats, all right? You made that choice.
I think it's time to vote on this.
I agree. I'm repeating myself.
The indirect rabbit hole.
Now.
I'm definitely repeating myself.
My point. Like the Wraithguard one specifically, like you can just corral them. You can tie them up. You can charge them with something. Yes, they can fall back and shoot. But if you,
is Ed a cowboy? Because you're talking about cows.
Just rope them.
Yeah, just rope them. Rawhide.
Get on up, round them up.
Thanks for fucking completely derailing my point.
You're welcome.
Go ahead.
For me, I guess I wouldn't say to get too hung up on the example. We can swap out Wraithguard for Satan, right? I just mean a unit that the meta revolves around because it's incredibly difficult to deal with, and that's why people run it. I think that Indirect can. I think Indirect can become that, right? But I don't think it's any more of a they're not more guilty of that sin, I think, than any other faction in the game. Personally, that's what I think.
I think the worst thing about non-line of sight shooting is you don't have to commit anything. Your unit stays safe.
There's no risk.
Yeah.
There's no downside.
Manticores at least used to run out of shooting after 4 turns because they only had 4 big missiles,
and
then they just took
that
rule out.
Turns.
Yeah.
So that was an actual downside.
Yeah. But
then I would send you back to the argument that they're less points efficient, right? They don't kill their points worth in a shooting. You know what I mean? Like as a general. Anyway, let's go for let's go for a vote. I have definitely gone on for way too long on this. I'm guessing
you warned people. It's okay.
Yeah, everyone knows where I stand on this. I think we need to keep Indirect, and I think we need to help Indirect be better rather than condemn it. We don't just execute drug addicts. All right, we help them. Okay.
Don't you take the fucking moral high ground? You play Tau. Get in the bin.
Says the other Tau player.
Guys, come on.
I played Tau. I'm recovered.
Let's bring this one home, boys.
And I'm guessing Ed is wanting to banish as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, Tom, where you standing?
I'm gonna side with hope and belief that we can get it to a place where it actually serves a function without being obnoxious. I don't want it completely gone from the game because, as you say, that does only create a new problem. And stagey, punchy stuff needs to have other things keeping it honest. But dear God, just write it so that people can't just turn up and win games with it, please.
Scrivo, what are you thinking?
So for me, as it stands, I want it gone purely because I don't trust players to not use it because if they're playing in a competitive game, they want to use the best tools for the job. Mm-hmm. And on the flip side, I don't trust Games Workshop to balance it right. So if they can't balance it, why should we have it in the game? It's like, look at Desolation Marines. They're gone now. They couldn't make them playable. They're 200 points of I'm not going to take. That's a shame. So let's just get them gone.
You know what, Scrivo? You're 100% right. If Games Workshop can't balance them, we should get rid of them. Eldar, in the bin. We do not need them anymore.
Yeah, there we go.
In the bin.
I think you showed real personal growth not trying to put Eldar in room 101, Jack. So let's see if we can get all the way to the end of the episode without
that does once again put us at 2 and 2, so we need to check the poll. I've not looked at the poll. I don't know what this. I don't know what it is.
This is genuinely interesting. This is.
I have a feeling I know what it's going to be, but I've not looked at it yet. Unfortunately, my rambling speech of repeating myself multiple times was not enough to convince people.
We lost 55 people during that little rambling.
76% for banishing to room 101 and 23% for keeping it in.
I think that's room the one with most votes as well.
Yeah. I went for the longest. So.
I think you are right, though, in as much as, things we feel very passionately about in a particular moment of time in the game have other counters and other consequences. If you release cats to catch the rats, then you have too many cats, then you need to release something else. And then we go around this loop of balance all the time. Dogs, potentially, yeah. Or bigger rats.
Nobody spoke out for Indirect, right? Nobody spoke out for Indirect, and then it was gone.
Ground.
First they came for the Indirect. No.
And then
it wasn't a woman that swallowed Indirect.
We are not doing that. That is not what we're doing. So that is
when they come for you, there'll be no one left to speak out for you. That's all I'm saying.
Are we at the end of this game now?
Yes, we are.
Jack, thank you very much for delivering a wonderful game of 40k Room 101. We will definitely do that again. And we will definitely try and cut it off before we lose our minds as we started towards the end of that.
That's 100% Ed's fault.
Thank you very much for everybody for playing. So we're going to move into a little round. We're not going to be on this for too long, but we're going to do like 15 minutes of listener questions. So we have some in the Discord. Please do chuck more in the chat if you would like to. Obviously, you can super chat if you want to support the channel, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Please leave us a comment on the video as well. That all helps to make us visible and keep boosting us up in the world of 40k. So podcast questions. First one in here.
Oh, before we do that, we're fucking number 3 in the world, baby!
Oh, what, for ITC rankings or something?
It will not last.
For teams.
As soon
Team
as
ranking.
more teams go to more events, we will drop a couple of places. But
that's all right.
Right now, 3rd in the world.
It's nice to be strong out the gates, isn't it? That's good. I feel like we're definitely the 3rd best players in the world and not bang average at all. So our first question is, given the lineup for the South Coast Super Major, who is each of your favourites to come out on top? What do we think will win South Coast Super Major?
Yes, I'm aware that there are players going to the Southwest Super Major.
Necrons from Jack.
I actually think, to be specific about it, I think it's going to be Hypercrypt Necrons.
Okay.
And the problem is, it's impossible to say because I don't necessarily know who's playing what, right? Because anyone could just faction swap onto Hypercrypt Necrons, right?
Yeah.
Like any of the Team England players could do that, and
indeed,
and then stand a good chance of winning the event, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be Hypercrypt Necrons. That is but I don't know which player could do that. I tell you what, it's not going to be a guard player.
Nope. Okay, there you go. Jack's holding strong. I'll tell you,
because they're not S tier.
There's a guard player at Goonhammer who might win that one, but we'll see.
Yeah, they're not S tier, mate. They're not going to
S tier. I'm going to go for Manny on Eldari. Manny's switch to Eldari. Manny's resolution of playing Fight Phase armies for the year died after his second good run.
Did he say Fight Phase armies, or did he say he was going to play more?
He said combat armies. He said combat armies. But anyway, this is he's gone very much in the Eldar Fire and Fade direction. I do think that's probably one of of the strongest builds in the game right now.
I think now is a great time to switch on to Eldar. I think this is going to be a lot of fun to play Eldar right now. So I'm actually on board for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I'll be interested because actually it's a little bit different to the sorts of stuff he's been playing of late. I'll be interested to see how he gets on. But I don't think he makes a switch like that in this meta if he doesn't think it's got legs. So we'll see. What do you reckon, John?
So my heart says I want Votan. I want Jake to win with Votan, just because that just feels so cool. But great. My hope is that it'll be some mad lad with a Sons of Sanguinius list.
Yes, okay.
Because why not? 5 crit would be boring, right? It's gonna happen, but
the Black Horse.
By the way, I have no idea what we're fucking talking about.
The South Coast GT.
South Coast Super Major. It's one of the UKTC ones that's taking place this weekend.
Why is that
just
not on?
Just guess what army's going to win it, mate.
Oh, fucking probably Guard. They're the best army in the
game. Oh, big old Jim says my last game against Scrivo was round 2 South Coast GT last year. ... Revenge.
Oh God.
I did enjoy the South Coast Super Major. That was where I tabled 50 Deathwing Terminators. Mwah. Good times.
Who's going?
Well done, Draz.
Big names. Who's going?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. There's a big split between Goonhammer and South Coast Super Major.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know who's down there. Maybe a Bots is down there with his Grey Knights as well.
Just having flashbacks to last year.
I think Manny's probably a good bet there.
Alex. I just think he'll have thought that iteration through with the field. I don't think he's going to jump to Eldar now for no reason, but we'll see. And Eldari would have been what I'd have taken for Goonhammer if I was being more mercenary. But Drakari, man, got to do it. So Sai says, "Oh no, we've done that one. Sorry, Sai. That's all you get. You're done." Green Giant, who's got an orc in his picture. I love that. Says, with hopefully the Orcs Codex being released next, what sort of detachments and rules are you hoping to see in the new book?
Speed War.
Damn my head.
Dread War.
Yeah.
I dread mob.
I want a vehicle detachment, and I'm not fussy about what it is.
Yeah,
I'd like to be able to use all the models I have, but
I'd like a squig detachment as well.
I'd like a rebel grot detachment. It's not happening, but I want it.
Yeah,
we just had a fucking Kroot detachment and a Kroot box, so who fucking knows?
There's usually 5 detachments, right? So we're looking at the index one.
Hawks could easily have 6. They've got a lot of flavour.
Yeah, so we've got like Beast Snaggers, Speed War. Freebooters,
like a shooty one for flash.
Yeah.
So they'll be on archetypes again. So it'll be one shooty, heavily shooty.
No, there's going to be a jump up, jump down, 3-inch deep strike one.
That's called blood axes.
That'd be the
blood axe. Yeah,
you know it's coming. You know it's coming because they don't have
the Skulky War.
I got wrecked by Paul Martin in 9th edition where he was playing blood axes. It was rough.
Oh man,
we're going to fast forward like 3 months, and John Lennon's going to be winning events with like a teleporting brick of killer cans instead of Centurion Devastators.
Oh,
and
don't!
Just
I've only got
around,
6. I've only got 6.
Picking their angles with a big mech with a teleporter. Oh my god! Bring it on! I mean, honestly, I am very excited about the Orc book, not just because I've started picking some up and painting them, but I think it's one of those armies that has so much variation and flavour across the sort of strands of it. And I do think these books, when they're good, really tease that out. So I feel very good for Orcs. They just need to give them a couple of other ways to play that aren't just push melee.
It's probably not Orcs next, though, right?
No, I don't think so.
It is next. Yeah, it's on the schedule as next. I think we might get the Tau FOMO box first.
So the Tau book would be in the wild.
Yeah,
the
wild, but not out to use in tournaments.
I think the thing with that is that the fact that that's come first means that I don't know how much I trust that map in terms of the order that the pictures.
Yeah, because we haven't seen anything from the Orc book, have we?
Yeah.
Just because it says Spring for Orcs and Tau wasn't.
Character who I am tempted to buy, the new war boss.
He's out. Yeah.
I just think the order's changed because they were. It was basically Orcs Tau. I think it's just going Tau Orcs.
They're always subject to behind the scenes limitations, aren't they? So I'm sure it's that.
Are you trying to say they're having some issues with their supply lines?
They have been having issues for a long time.
I think you'll say the shareholders breakdown said that they are not at capacity, and I will not take this slander, guys.
Goodness. Okay, so next up we have Sai, who's back again, and he says, "So Ed, how about them Death Guard, eh?"
I think they're in a good spot right now.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I've genuinely been considering playing them.
I think they're the best Chaos Army right now.
I think they look really good for where the meta is at the moment.
Yeah, they are they're in a very good spot. They are.
They're a very fun faction, I think.
Yeah, thematically,
I've
always liked them. It just frustrated me
this
that
index
people said they were good in a shooting meta.
This index is probably the best, especially once you factor the buff they got in. It's the most interesting they've ever made them, I think, in terms.
I don't know. I liked the
what
9th edition book. You could do some.
The 9th book had some fun stuff. It did have some fun stuff. That wasn't ever intended, Ed. None of that was deliberate.
Oh no! Competitive players have done unintended things with a rule set. That's Tuesday.
And Wednesday, and Thursday, and Friday.
Death Guard are good, and Ed is looking at playing them, which means they're not fun.
I'm probably not going to, just because they don't have the fast scoring units that I kind of want.
What about fetid bloat drones, Ed? What's wrong with them?
What about them?
They're slow. Okay.
So expensive.
So our next question is from Elmo Miniatures, who are on a similar vein. Ed, how do you manage to survive in Lewis's shadow all the time?
You're in his shadow because you're about to stab him in the back.
Do you ever just get a little concerned for someone's well-being?
Yeah.
Because they're so delusional.
Yeah. But we still talk to you, Ed.
That was amazing.
I was going to say vitamin D supplements, but that was way better.
John with the zinger against his cracking the codex buddy as well.
So, anyone want to talk about codexes on Thursday? Because I've got the gap now.
Okay, right. Next question is from Ultimate Funk, and I actually have no idea how to deal with this one. So, Ultimate Funk says next year, Lewis and Scrivo decide to run a tournament where there is an army selection special rule. You have to include 3 of a single model worth more than 350 points each. Can't be an epic hero or any form of unique model.
I have 2 lists already.
It's 2K. We don't need the list. We just need to know. I don't give a shit about the list, John. I just need to know what the big thing you're taking.
No, that's what I mean. That's the list.
Okay.
So I've got an orc list, which is 3 stompers.
Okay.
Because you can fit in. And if I was going to play a World Eaters list, it would be 3 Lord of Skulls. Boom.
Okay, so 2 choices taken from John. What are you guys?
Triple Storm Surge, and then you laugh at all the people that take triple Lord of Skulls when you one-shot each one with each Storm Surge.
But mine's thematic.
So is mine.
Stop it.
I think 3 Ravagers seems good. You just the Chaos Knight Ravager.
Yeah, not the Drakari Ravager.
Turning up with your.
It's really confused.
Turning up with your 9 Dark Lances. Let's win this mother.
With your completely standard Dark Guild list.
I'll play against the Storm Surge list. I'll start behind cover and I'll advance and charge out one at a time and just be like, you can't screen me. I'll walk through walls and models. That's the
totally
limit
fair.
of the thinking that I will give this.
Oh, I didn't realise it was going to be a good list.
Oh, I'm not sure it is.
Shit.
I'm not
Ed
sure
only plays good lists.
Sometimes I play bad lists and regret.
So how many Tantalus is Tom?
They're 230. You can't do this with them. They're too cheap.
Oh shit, they're too cheap.
I could
You're
run
too cheap,
3 of them
Tom.
probably quite legitimately if I was so minded.
If you owned them.
But I don't, and I'm not gonna.
Chat, let's get this happening.
So
Someone buy Tom a Tantalus or 2.
What the hell?
While you're thinking, I'd love to run 3 release cost Wraith Knights. But
Oh,
only
fuck
equipped... No, let me finish. But equipped with melee weapons.
Ah, yeah, okay.
Because that's like the points they should be with the melee weapons, or maybe it may even be too much.
That
But
actually is
just
the only
3
other
melee
Titanic
Wraith
thing
Knights.
that would have fit the criteria that I own, and you've taken it whilst I was trying to think of one.
Baneblades.
Baneblades, okay, but
There
can,
you
I
go.
make, can they be GSC? Can they have little cultists on with flags?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right.
See, Clever Invective said in the chat 3 Knight Lancers. That was
Yeah.
a consideration I had earlier because I was like, that'd be really cool. A literal Knight Lance, but a banner technically. But
So, thoughts on post-stat balance slate Eldar now that Manny won the final against them at Northampton, then switches to them for the South Coast Super Major. Eldar is dead, long live Eldar. I think they're still probably the best army in the game, in a lot of ways. Not all the ways, but a hell of a lot of ways. Because they didn't get adjusted on anything other than the 2 specific units propping up a build that only existed because Eldar players had to field those units because their other units got killed by that build. And if you kill that build, you free them up to run all their other stuff. And that's the bit people miss. It's like D-cannons didn't stop being broken as shit. It's just that a night spinner kills them. Now the night spinners doesn't exist, so the D-cannon's back. That's the thing people miss with this.
Sounds like we need some indirect to deal with that, Tom.
You've got 3 indirect pieces that literally just kill 1 tank each every time they fire, or several elite infantry. But yes, indirect, certainly guard indirect does help with that. Absolutely, it does. So they're phenomenally good. I think the Ynnari builds, I think that was what got Manny's attention. I haven't looked at his list, but if I was a betting man, the build I was thinking of after that event was lots and lots of Shadow Spectres and Scourges fire and fading, and then artillery and then scoring, and I think that's real good. And I think Custodes have a hard time surviving that for a full 5 turns unless you get lucky. And I think that was Manny's takeaway from the last game that he played.
Just make some 9-inch charges.
Just make some 9-inch charges.
Just roll 6s, bro.
So they're still real good. They're still real good. It's going to be a bit terrain dependent.
I think Eldari's, the index has still got so many overcooked data sheets.
So jacked, yeah.
It's just, it's inevitable that it's going to be strong.
This Sketach Wraith Knight that's popped up is specifically for guard, right? I think you just slap -1 to wound on that and shove it at a guard.
I don't actually know what it does. I just heard the name.
It's just a big Wraith Knight with a bunch of melter shots, and but I think the main use into guard is just that it becomes really hard for them to hurt, and then it's going to go through all the tanks.
Fair enough.
But I don't know if it works. I just know that's what people are doing. I think Vic might be bringing a Sketach Wraith Knight to Goonhammer because he thinks he's got to deal with a guard player at Goonhammer. I can't think which one.
I think there's one, isn't there?
There's one, yeah. And there's one who thinks the faction's quite good, so we'll see if he's right.
Doesn't do indirect though, right?
Oh, famously,
it's only small,
650
points worth.
Touch that stuff. His motto is definitely not always kill.
I didn't mean to besmirch anyone either when I said guard's not going to win. I was just more of a guard C tier joke. But
I know. I don't dispute. I think Rob Kimpton nailed it before any of this happened. He was like, guard will have a 40% win rate and be the best army in the game. And I think he's right. I think it's sort of both are true some of the time. And I like that about it. Right, okay. Titchy says, what would you guys do to fix knights? Remove them as a faction is his suggestion.
I mean, I would fix them. It wouldn't be a problem anymore.
Be at peace, little one.
But as we said earlier, I do have faith in improving others rather than just removing problematic elements of society. You know, so I think I'm a big fan of giving them the little AdMech Forge World unit as a battle line choice or whatever it is, as an infantry unit. I think that would be
been there. Yeah,
I think that would the little Titan defender dudes.
How about that new like solar auxilia that's come out? Just let them plug a bit of that in.
We're not allowed specialist games models. They're too nice for us 40k scumbags.
If they wanted to run infantry, they'd just run Inquisition stuff.
Yeah, that would work.
It just doesn't synergize very well with the faction, right? And there's a lot of people that like to play purist.
It's cheap scoring units.
Yeah. I'm talking about things that actually like interact with the faction and make them like all work together. I think also you could probably do with not having knights that are just like a lot of them hero knights are very generalist, whereas a lot of the chaos knights are very specialist, and that obviously makes one better than the other because you look at carnivores, right? They're like a pure combat machine, right? And then you compare that to I'm not sure, can't remember what the equivalent armiger is called. But it's got like, yeah, there's like a melter and a chainsaw, and neither are particularly amazing.
Yeah, the warglaive. Warglaive.
And then you've got like a pure shooting one.
The knights have had from time immemorial is they fold as soon as you get into combat with them, which is just not okay because the game at the top end is usually melee focused because there's more skill expression there, and they're also fucked into skew. So a melee invuln maybe. But you need to balance it so they don't just become a brick wall of stats. I'd like to see them go back to release rules for 10th edition and just like release points, but not have towering. I'd be interested to see how that does. I thought that the way that those rules work was actually pretty interesting. I like the concept of wanting big knights and little knights because you buff both of them with a single model and you go, hey, there's utility here. We'll see.
Garrett Family Aquatic says Ed has got to be the most handsome man in the Imperium
Do you owe me
Garrett Family
money?
Aquatics. Ed is working on staying humble, and this is not going to help him. So stop it.
Get off your old account there.
Okay. We did.
Thank you, Garrett.
I think we're nearly there now. We had one little question from Sean Capewell, which we will of course field because it's a doozy. What are your guys' thoughts on every faction seemingly able to 3-inch deep strike and also jump up and down, including turn 1?
So dull.
Yeah. Way to take an interesting mechanic and make it ubiquitous and incredibly boring incredibly quickly. I love it on GSC, and the
10th in a nutshell, right?
The caveat with GSC was, well, they instantly die, so at least there's a cost to it. But now a Catan can do it, and the Catan isn't going to die.
Yeah.
I think you can feel with the detachments so far that they just haven't got enough of a breadth of ideas about what they're doing conceptually with the different ones.
That's my main. Well, no, it's one of my gripes with 10th edition. Everything feels so homogenous. There is a Vanguard detachment. There is a damage detachment. There is,
the tank detachment.
And they are often named Vanguard as well, Ed. I think we actually do have 3 Vanguard detachments technically at the moment.
I can't wait for the tale book because it will be Montcard Carrion, Vanguard Cadre, Armored Cadre for hammerheads, and then Kroot. And it's just going to be like...
Well,
so there's one detachment that we care about then.
Aircast, Firecast, whatever the other one is.
My pie in the sky dream was to have one for all the different, not all the different, but a bunch of different philosophies of war that were in the lore that were never actually in the game. Because there's loads of them in the lore.
That would have been very cool.
There's only ever 2 in the game, so that would have been really interesting.
It's one of those philosophies about jumping up turn 1 and coming in 3 inches away.
That's all the Tau auxiliaries, the hundreds of different vivid alien races, all very different looking, that we see in every game.
There's just going to be... I mean, I know it's going to be a Montcar, isn't it? It's going to be a 3-inch deep strike detachment.
I'll probably
thing.
My,
turn 1 3-inch deep
if
strike.
we have a Montcard detachment and they give me
but
melee.
I will say... This does remind me of a very famous piece of literature, a quote from a very famous piece of literature, which reminds me of this moment, and is, if everyone's super, no one will be, right? So if everyone gets 3-inch deep strike, it's not special anymore. So I completely agree.
Is that famous piece of literature The Incredibles?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. You're right, Tom. It is incredible.
Oh my god! On that note,
I absolutely love Syndrome, and that is where we're going to end the show tonight. Thank you so much. It's been amazing having you all engaging. It's been super fun. Obviously, we are 6++, and we will be back again next time to chat more and joke 40k with you. Have a great time out there, and we'll see you again soon. Bye bye.
Bye bye.